Also joining us now is Sarabjit Kaur Nagra from Angel Broking. Sarabjit, this Shell from the research team. First question I wanted to ask you was, as far as the guidance number goes, what do you make of it? There's not been any change, or there's not been any downward revision as such, but they have narrowed it down from the upper band and the lower band. What do you make of this?
See, as you rightly said, there's nothing much to debate about it. Actually, it's hardly any marginal tweaking here and there. So I don't read too much into the guidance right now. Number per se, if you have to ask me, I think again there is nothing much to be enthused about, or anything great which has dramatically changed during the quarter, or was it not expected. Some of disappointment we have felt was on constant currency basis, because rest of the play, I think, as far as the PNL is concerned, apart from the operational metrics which we have discussed, that utilization rates were not that dramatically changed. Attrition is a bit which has positively moved in the good direction in terms of coming down a bit quarter on quarter basis, but apart from that, rest of the matrix is just a play on currency, I guess. So apart from, if you have to just look at one variable out of all the variable which should matter and is the important matter, is the CAs, the constant currency growth, which we were expecting.
All right, I suppose we've got Sarabjit on a patchy line. We'll try to mend that and get back to her. But obviously what she was highlighting was that the most important aggregate to go by at this point should be the constant currency guidance band. And as Shail was pointing out, there's no major tweaking that has happened there. It's just been tightened. Let's go over some of the important takeaways from the management interaction with the media. They also spoke about the digital and the AI portion of it, which, mind you, Vishal Sikka is focusing on over the last several quarters. There are many product platforms that they've developed, namely the Mana, the Skava, the Panaya, and the Edge. These are essentially the portfolios that they keep highlighting. But I understand we have Sarabjit back online with us. Sarabjit, you were explaining your answer. Just continue, and then we'll go into further details.
So as I pointed out earlier, that there is not much disappointed or very or fact wherein I'm out of sync with my numbers, except for constant currency, and that's the number we were watching out for. So overall, I think if I have to rate the numbers and the guidance, which is just I would say just a tweaking, or rather, just making it more accurate, probably. I think there's no directional change per se, I guess so. So I don't read too much into the numbers reported. I think whatever numbers beating expectation in terms of margins, or probably even in terms of net profit, is just a play of currency. So I think whatever expectation they have beaten is because of currency. Rest, I'm not so enthused about the number, neither very disappointed. So I guess it's not very it's a neutral kind of my rating to the numbers. So that's how I place the numbers for the quarter, at least.
Apurva Prasad also joins us from HDFC Securities. Apurva, do you think that this constant tinkering of guidance, they should actually go back to that quarterly guidance number that they used to give 2 or 3 years ago? Isn't a quarterly number a better gauge for investors as compared to this annual guidance and then changing it every quarter?
So yeah, I mean, why that led to a change out there is basically because of the visibility, that is number one, and also the duration of the projects, which are essentially getting much shorter now, with higher share of digital. Having said that, I mean, if you look at the implied rate for the fourth quarter, I think it's pretty decent. So anything between negative 0.3 to positive 1.3% at the ask rate is, I think, is all right, and that's something that Infosys should be able to manage. You have to also take into context the fact that very heavy cross currencies have been impacting over the last couple of quarters now. So that's a very strong impediment to the dollar-based growth. Having said that, I think the major concern was lowering of the lower band of the guidance. I think that is something which has not happened. So I think that is pretty fine, and that's encouraging. The fact that most of the growth as it is was to be baked in from FY18, considering the kind of headwinds, the near-term headwinds that we were expecting with the next 2 quarters, coming out of the BFSI vertical.
Right. Apurva, I mean, before we let you go, very quickly, if you can take us through what your pecking order or your preference would be from the larger cap pack, and what do you expect from the tier 2 names also going ahead from here on?
Yeah, so our pecking order is pretty much similar to what it was earlier. I mean, we prefer HCL Tech, Infosys, and TechM over the others within the tier 1, and we're neutral on the other 2. Within the mid-cap space, we quite like Persistent. That's one pick from the mid-cap space that you can look out for.
Right. Sarabjit, same question to you. Your mid-cap preferences?
Yeah. See, we don't track any particular mid-cap as such, but I guess amongst the large caps, we are more or less fairly positive on all of them. Barring TCS as an accumulate, I think rest of my ratings are on buy range only because IT has underperformed, and I guess on the concerns of growth, whereas I think given the profitability of the business, growth is the importance of growth in IT sector and its valuation is overplayed actually. And it's overplayed to a large extent. So I guess there are various, though I don't believe in doing a relative valuation per se, being a fundamental analyst, but I guess if you look at various other export-oriented industries like pharma, which I track otherwise also, so there easily large caps like Sun Pharma, Lupin deserve P multiples of around 20, 22, 25, 28 on a good times also. Whereas you have such large IT companies, bigger in size, much more profitable, so growth on Y-on-Y basis, if I have to compare, forgetting the Q-on-Q trend, which is more tracked in IT rather than any other industry. So I guess it's similar. I mean, if they are going to deliver on a normal economic scenario, 12 to 14% growth. I guess pharma, and this is on a larger base than even the large companies like Sun Pharma has. It's almost TCS is 4 times bigger. On such a large basis, they're able to deliver 12, 14%. I think there's nothing much to bargain. Any fundamental analyst would agree that, you know, for when you do evaluations, ROE and growth are the key parameters or drivers for the valuations. And obviously growth makes it more lucrative, but I guess so if the ROEs are significantly higher than the growth, I think then dependence on growth reduces. So I think that is something which market is missing out for a pretty long time in IT sector. And I guess that will catch up soon because market is short-term, and being a fundamental analyst, I think there is an arbitrage there for value players to get in. So even Infosys, if you look at dividend payouts are increasing and IT companies are sitting on cash. So I know these are things which you can't predict, but I think that's the direction they will move because ultimately they have to reward shareholders because their reported ROEs are getting suppressed because of the cash is on the book. And they are not as aggressive as IT pharma companies are in terms of acquisition. So the option left is either dividends or buybacks. So I guess that will come through. So it's a matter of time. So I guess patience will be rewarded in long-term investor in IT, and that's why we are quite bullish on IT actually.
Fair point, Sarabjit. We're going to leave it at that, but appreciate you joining us as well as Apurva from HDFC Securities. This was a special coverage as far as the Infosys numbers are concerned. Market Movers is up next.